Hi, it's Daria Ates here, founder of Tap Into Success and your ultimate joy broadcaster. And today we are going to talk about reconnecting with our inner self. Because these days we are all so busy that we are all in our head. The chitty chatter never stops there, and a lot of people these days have mental issues, mental problems like anxiety and depression because they can never stop that chitty chatter in their mind, and it causes absolutely the reconnection of our or disconnection of our body and our mind. And this is what we are going to learn today: how to help ourselves to reconnect again with our inner self, to help us feel good, help us feel joy, help us to fill our life with happiness and positive thoughts rather than all that negative and hating attitude which some people really have, and they even don't like it, but they don't know what to do with it. And it's actually all about our childhood. You don't need to beat yourself up or blame yourself for being the way you are, because most of your behavior, it's actually your subconscious mind working, and your subconscious mind runs about 95% of the show of your life, and sometimes even more. So it is actually in our age between 2 and 7 years old, when we were just little children, we learn from our environment, from our parents, siblings, friends, from school. We learn how to behave in certain situations. Let me give you an example. For example, you were 2 years old and you saw your mom screaming and jumping on the table because she saw a little tiny mouse in the corner of the room. And your little 2 years old brain just, okay, this is what we do when we see mouse, right? And then years later, you find yourself jumping on the table or on the ladder in the garage because you saw that little tiny mouse. And this is actually without thinking. You don't think about it. You just do what you've been learned, what you actually learned as a little child. And this is actually what causes a lot of limiting beliefs as well about us, because then we start thinking during the life like we are not good enough, we are not tall enough, we are not slim enough, we are not here enough. And this is what doesn't make us happy, does it? So here today, I would like to introduce you some techniques which I teach my clients for them to reconnect back with their inner self. And one really simple, easy, and funny one, they really enjoy it, is what I call the rubber band. You just take an ordinary rubber band and put it along your wrist. And as you go throughout the day, then you observe your thoughts and you learn to observe your thoughts. And once you catch some negative thoughts, some judging or criticizing somebody else, you just straight away pull the rubber band and let it hit you. And it hurts, doesn't it? And this is what is called anchoring. So your brain will remember that negative thoughts and this happened, right? And what I suggest, what I recommend is write down these negative thoughts into your phone. Just 2 words like judgment, right? For example, you saw the lady who was overweight and she was wearing miniskirt, let's say, and first your thought was like, oh my goodness, how somebody like this can wear something like that, da da da. Pink, okay? Write it down. Miniskirt judging. And that's it. And as you go throughout the day again, you start noticing some different things, some thoughts again. Anytime when you just are aware when you catch some negative thought, anchor it straight away and write it down, right? And when you come home, when you are ready, when you're free, maybe in the evening before bed, just take those your notes, read it, and take a pen and paper and write them down and reframe them, right? For example, this example about the lady who was wearing miniskirt, let's say. So your thought was, oh my God, how could she wear something like this? So on the other side of the paper, then you made a line in the middle, you can write something like, it's her birthright to feel beautiful. And if she wears miniskirt, it makes her feel beautiful probably, otherwise she wouldn't do it. So who are we to judge here if somebody has a right to feel good or beautiful or not? Okay? So with every your negative thought, write it down and then reframe it. And this is one technique which really quite quickly will teach you to be aware of your negative thoughts and will teach you to reframe it. And what you can do also, when you are with your paper, when you reframe those thoughts, you can just start journaling about it, right? For example, like, how did you feel when you saw that lady? How did that make you feel? And let just pen go. Don't think too much about it. Just let the pen go. And you can be sometimes very surprised what comes out. And maybe how does it make you feel now? You know, when you know actually you were that kind of judgmental. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about teaching, reconnecting with your inner self, actually learning that there are different ways as well as we are capable to think, which makes us much more happy. So why would I think the way which makes me unfulfilled, angry, judgmental, if I can feel the way that makes me feel good, right? Another technique is that one, it's really, really sometimes quite challenging, because as we are so disconnected from our inner self, we really very rarely love ourselves. So what really helps is anytime when you pass something where you can see your reflection, or when you are in the bathroom and there is a mirror there, anytime just look into your eyes and imagine you can see that your inner child. Like, for example, you saw the picture when you were just a little child, and that picture is in your mind right now when I'm talking about it. Okay, so when you look into your own eyes, look deeply enough to see that little child within you, because it's still there. That little child and you, it's one, because it's still you, and that little child, it's you now. So it's still there, but because we are so disconnected from our body, from our inner self, we forgot about it. So what you can do to reconnect with your inner self again, when you look into your own eyes, look deeply in and see that little child, that beautiful little you, and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for forgetting about you. Sorry for abandoning you. I'm sorry for neglecting you. Please forgive me, because I love you and I thank you. And as you learn first to love that your little you, that it becomes much easier when you look into your own eyes and you see yourself right now, right here and right now, as you are, in your perfect imperfection, and say, I love you. I love you as you are, because you are perfect in every way. And this can take time. Sometimes some tears can come up when we start realizing how we abandoned ourselves, how we abandoned our inner child. And it's okay. It's perfectly alright. Some healing is happening when tears start coming up. Don't suppress it. Just let it go. Let go of those feelings, of those emotions. Let it clear, let it heal. And very interesting thing, how we can reconnect as well with our inner self, is realizing about how we talk to ourselves in our mind. You know, sometimes when I speak to my clients and when I can see how they think about themselves, I often ask them to write down when they are on their own, write down how they talk to themselves. Like, for example, something went wrong, something didn't go the way you expected it, and you say, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh boy, what did I do? I am absolutely, I am this, I am that, I am da 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 da. Okay, just write it down. No judgment, no criticism, just write it down. And then, either when you are with your best friend, or you can just imagine you are with them, and read that paper, read those words you actually saying to yourself on daily basis. You say it all the time. And read those words as if you were reading them to your best friend. And notice, how does it feel? Acknowledge it. Don't judge, don't criticize yourself for it. We all do it sometimes. Just acknowledge it. And next time, when you think this way, remember how it felt when you were saying it to your best friends. And no wonder they say, if we talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves, we will really soon end up without friends. And yet, we talk this way to ourselves all the time. So this is really the way we can recognize how disconnected we are with our inner self. Because if you are connected, you would be able to recognize it. And this is what is this training about. Just write it down, practice to catch these thoughts. And also remember that very often we live in what they call victim mentality. Oh, that happened to me, they done this to me. And blaming others and pointing your finger at someone else. Remember, there are always another 3 fingers even that are pointing back at you. So when something is happening in our environment, it's always very useful to think about, how did I create this situation? Because what's happening around us, it's very often, if not always, just mirroring of our vibrations. Because what they say, what you give out, you get back multiplied. So if something happens which you really are not happy with, just think about what could cause it. For example, you have got clients who are not committed, who once do their work, second time they don't come, third time they just give you a call, they are too busy, they can't come. If it happens once, it's absolutely alright, thing happens. But if it is a repeated pattern, then it's well worthy. Turn within and think about, okay, so where am I not committed enough? Where I do something like this, am I committed enough to myself, maybe? Am I committed enough to whatever I do? Am I committed enough to do work which I am supposed to do? Because there is always something behind it when it is repeated pattern, right? So what is well worthy to do is, again, journaling, or just sit down with yourself for a couple of minutes. Sit down, close your eyes, tune into your body, and let your thoughts wandering around, and go into that situation that maybe upset you, that maybe made you feel a certain way, and think about that situation, think about that feelings and emotions you felt, and just write them down. Write them down and let that thought, that emotion flow on the paper. And what do you think about it? How do you feel about it? How would you like feel instead? What can you do to feel instead? How can you change the way that feeling caused? Because as we said, our thoughts cause emotions, and emotions are in control of our behavior. And remember, emotions is energy in motion. Emotion. So when we suppress our emotions without acknowledging them, without working with them, they started causing blockages in our energy in our body. And when the energy stops flowing nicely and freely, then we start really having health problems. First, it can start just with feeling not really ourselves, and then it can process into really health issues and diseases. So it's always good to work with our emotions, and this is what I do with my clients. So first of all, start practicing just catching those emotions, those negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative feelings. And don't judge yourself, don't judge those feelings, don't judge those emotions. Just notice, acknowledge them, write them down, and then at that moment you can even say to your mind, thank you for sharing, and now I choose to think this way, or now I choose to feel this way. And this is how you can start reconnecting with your inner self, reconnecting with that beauty of oneness. When we are in that state, then You are aware of your thoughts all the time. It sometimes even makes you smile. How come this could upset me before, How come? You just don't get it anymore. And this is really what you want to achieve. You want to achieve that fulfillment, that joy, that happiness in your life. Because we know there are always ups and downs. We are not going to just ignore it, but we are going to see it in different way. And we can see in every negative situation, we can find some silver lining, can't we? And this is what we are going to do. And I look forward next week in our training to what we are going to create here, because after all, just only we are creators of our reality, no one else. No one else can force you to think or feel some certain way. Because if you let anybody else to make you feel some way, you're actually giving up your power, your inner power. You're giving up and you're giving it over to them. And that's not healthy at all. It doesn't make you feel good, does it? So I really look forward to next week when we are going to carry on with our training. And thank you for joining me. And I see you next week.